Yeah, I ain't even gonna lie to you. I totally forgot about the island and how it's like 2K. So season mode, that does make sense. So second season, let's see what it's talking about. Let's get right into it.
What's going on, everybody? Kenny Bomb is in the building, and we have finally reached the month of May, which means we are in store for some pretty big updates to WWE 2K25. The first in which we know about will be our very first DLC pack, which will be dropping very soon. And hopefully, with that DLC pack, they drop a few surprises on us, much like they did with a few of our packs last year. But that's another conversation for another day. Today, we are here to talk about the island. And I know this isn't the most popular mode to talk about because they didn't leave us with the greatest first impression, but if they plan on investing more into this in WWE 2K26 and beyond, then I think you really gotta sell people with 2K25. And it's not too late to do so because we got quite a few chapters left. So how do you fix the island? Today, I'm gonna give you my ideas, and I want you guys to give me your ideas in the comment section. But first, help me out by dropping a like on this video. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button, especially if you don't want to miss any updates on WWE 2K25. Now let's get into it.
Run, boy, they coming on.
So as we all know, the island was not only far from perfect, but far from what we expected when we finally got our hands on WWE 2K25. And despite the patches the game has received, things on the island remain largely the same as they were since the game was released. But I do have to point out the fact that while there's still work to be done in this area, they did make one meaningful update. Because when I first got on the island, I texted the fellas in the group chat asking if they felt the same way about the movement. For me, I felt like my character on the island was weightless and the running speed was just way too slow. In a third-person game, you can feel the weight on your character. You can even feel it when you're in the ring in WWE 2K25. But for some reason, on the island, things feel a bit floaty as you're running around. And that's an issue that remains there, but one thing they did fix was the running speed. Wrestlers now run faster on the island than they did when the game first came out, and that's a big win because previously, it felt like it took forever to get from point A to point B. So that is a big improvement. But how can this be better? Give us more premium interactable items to make our time and our quality of life on the island even better. Now, of course, the streets aren't big enough for things like bicycles and motorcycles, but if you're adding more story chapters that are going to be sending us from one side of the island to the other, I think it'll be very beneficial if we were able to get things like rollerblades and skateboards. Now, that sounds like an easy task, but it might be too big of an ask. I'm in my Dr. Seuss bag right now. So that could be something we don't see until WWE 2K26, but I think things like this would bring a lot more life to the island. But before we get away from the quality of life stuff, why don't we have a map on the island yet? That has to be at the top of the list for Chapter 2, right? We'll put a pin in that one and see if they actually add it. Now, one thing we know for sure we will be getting in Chapter 2 of the island is more story. So we were placed on this island to impress Roman Reigns, and throughout the process, we run into different wrestlers who we have to kind of help out with different things. Cody Rhodes needs help finding his car keys. LA Knight, for some reason, was dressed up as a knight, and I don't know what he had going on. There was like a clone Xavier Woods, Austin Theory with the Undertaker's urn. A lot of crazy stuff in here that really make no sense, and while I don't have a problem with goofiness, it needs to be engaging. And I will admit, as an Undertaker guy, I really did love the stuff with Paul Bear's statue and the Undertaker's urn in Chapter 1, but outside of that, I can't think of another storyline that really pulled me in. And I'm sure some people really wanted to help R-Truth find a roller coaster that may or may not have existed on the island, but it just wasn't for me. Now, I'm not saying they need Chris Nolan level of writing in this thing, but I feel like they at least need to try to make something that's engaging, and it just didn't happen in Chapter 1. If they really want to hook people and make sure they come back to see this full story through, then the storylines will have to progressively get better. I'm somebody who actively plays this game almost every day, and I almost didn't finish chapter 1. After making it less than halfway through, I jumped out, finished everything else I wanted to play in the game, and even then, I felt like I had to force myself to jump back in the island to finish it. The way they're rolling out this story gives them so much potential to keep this game alive all year, but if they want to keep players engaged, then they gotta put that extra work in to improve the quality we get out of the story in the next few chapters. And while online does play a part on the island, the story is going to be the biggest thing that keeps the casual players coming back. So when the story is over, what more is there to do on the island? I'm not an online player, so after I finished the story, I hadn't jumped back into the land of Roman Reigns. So before I made this video, I hopped on the island to find out the exact answer to that question. And ladies and gentlemen, once you finish the story, there is absolutely nothing else to do on the island. You can't replay the story missions, you can meet up with your friends, but there's really nothing else to do because you can only do one-on-one matches, and then if you want to play online, it's probably easier to do it outside of the island. This is a problem, because this was supposed to be a big selling point for WWE 2K25, but I feel like it's the one mode they're really leaving behind where they focus so much on My Faction where they actually make a lot of money. And even though it's a huge cash grab, I think the content in My Faction is handled very well. Because if you look at the live events, they do force people to gamble, but they always give you something to do and something to look forward to. And if you max out on live events, you still have Faction Wars, you got World Tour mode, and you have your weekly towers. There's a lot of content built into My Faction, and I think they need to do something very similar to the island as well. And of course, these are things you can't just drop in the game overnight, but I think one thing they can work on immediately, starting with Chapter 2, is giving us live events on the island. Every time we turn on WWE 2K25, we get updates on the front screen. Hey, new live events are available. Go see if you can take down Roman Reigns to get this Triple H card. Okay, cool. You head into My Faction, you see if you can take down the mission. I feel like we should get the same thing with the island. We can get that pop-up. Hey, Kane is at the Undertaker's Cathedral. We don't know what he wants. Go find out. You head to the island, find Kane, boom, you get a random live event mission. And maybe when you beat that mission, you unlock a new Persona card, and it's Kane from 2002 with his slow chemical theme. Now the island has value and people will be looking forward to the next mission. Right now, unfortunately, the island is just dead, and I feel like 2K isn't doing much to liven it up. I think Chapter 2 will bring a new burst of energy to it, but if it just ends there, then I don't think it's going to fare well in the long run. You gotta keep it going after the story, and I think random live events would be a great way to do so. Not only that, I know a lot of people hated the mini games in AEW Fight Forever, but the gameplay is already good in 2K, so I think they have the time and space to create something like that they can place in the island that friends can actually come together and play, and it would add a lot more value to that mode. Give us a stadium on the island, somewhere where a lot of us can come together, play, and spectate matches. That'll make tournaments a lot more fun and easy to run for WWE 2K25, making the community a lot stronger in the process. So there's a lot you can do with the island. I just want to see if they get it done this year or if they hold these things off until the next installment. What do y'all think? What would make you go onto the island more and enjoy your time? Let me know in the comment section, but don't forget to drop a like on this video and smash that subscribe button if you have not already. Bomb Squad, let's get to that.
Alright. Not bad, not bad. We're gonna do I think one more video. Then I wanna get some gaming streams out the way. I don't know